All right. It's time for another film and TV news video on my channel. So this is going to be off topic because I'm upload on today on what is a Saturday. So I'm going to tell you that Dakota Johnson, star of 50 Shades movies, as well as the infamous Madame Web movie, is set to make a directorial debut with in the A Tree Is Blue, starring Charlie XCX, was a singer who's known as a Brad person. You know Jessica Alba was one of the actress that's pretty much not related with a different Jessica Biel is he got married to Justin Timberlake, of course, and he's appeared like movies like Sin City and the 2000s Fantastic Four movies from Tim Starr. Probably know the actress is, and Vanessa Brookhart, who worked for with Johnson in the in before in the Cha Cha Will Smith from. I mean, he was really sick. Johnson was producing, but more of that later. Anyway, if you don't know what Dakota Johnson is, if you or many people don't know what say who the heck is Dakota Johnson are? Is this the girl from Madame Web or something, or as a co-star of Bad Times and El Rural, Jeff Bridges was quoting from the Big Lebowski, saying,
Johnson?
well, Dakota Johnson was an actress because he's a daughter of Don Johnson and Mary Griffin. Although he got divorced few years later, and Mary got married to Antonio Banderas. And let's be honest, Antonio Banderas was a Spanish actor from Spain, and not even like Javier Bardem, Penelope Cruz, but even though it's pretty much a one known actress, or even the um Victoria, I believe, was well known and popular in Spain. So, yeah, or especially in France because But even let me be honest, the Spanish actor married American actress. Like, dude, Antonio was Spain. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I know what people care about. What is it's a bit like Rosalia married to Bad Bunny because look, Rosalia was a singer for Spain, and Bad Bunny was from Mexican, and I think he's pretty much the same. Both the Spanish language was probably reggaeton was probably popular in the new Spanish music market, especially the popularized of the Despacito song. So probably pretty much to sex. But even though I'm not sure that the unlike better like look, I know I think Rosalia might go to be appear in the Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show next year because how many people care about he's not even from Mexican or Spain, or I think he's Spain, but she's Spain, but I think listen, look, I'm probably gonna criticize about the America, especially Trump, but yeah, and I even talk about that. But I'm gonna talk about Dakota Johnson. So I probably know she made a film debut as a supporting role, well, minor role in the Antonio Banderas' stepfather, Antonio Banderas' one and only directorial effort, Crazy and Alabama, starring her wife, Banderas' wife, Mary Griffin, and he was happened to sport more. And then the years later, then went back to the he had a busy person. He back to become a model, and then eventually making a direct acting debut through acting was actually a supporting role in the David Fincher's The Social Network, with all of the fellow stars like Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Justin Timberlake. They mentioned that they did a mention earlier with married to Jessica Biel, and even Ruby Mara. This is before he moved worked again in the Dragon. The Girl with Dragon Tattoo was an English language remake of the Swedish film, so pretty popular between late 2000 between in 2009 and 2010. So anyway, but then eventually continued career as like explored roles including the Beastly was a basically the Twilight rep. He capitalized the success of Twilight was becoming starring Vanessa Hudgens, the one of the Disney stars. Like we're pretty much, and especially the final film role of Mary Kay Olsen. Yeah, the Olsen twins from um, Full House. You know what it is. And then then the later in the 2012 in the for Ellen, sport roles in movies like For Ellen was starring Paul Dano was not a movie about the Ellen Jennings because years later that this debacle, I suppose a couple small roles, including the Fire Engagement and 21 Jump Street, was pretty much the familiar film, but it's pretty alone stars Jay Tatum and um, Jonah Hill, especially a smaller role by Brie Larson before he was Captain America. Seriously, and then 2014, then they came before that in 2014. They made a one film was called Need a Speed Movie. So video game adaptation was probably nobody saw. It was directed by the same guy who later directed the Expendables 4. Seriously, and then came 2013 with the 50 Shades movies came along and become the massively popular, especially more that came out in the I think Valentine's Day, almost yeah, the day before Valentine's Day in 2015. It was become the huge success, and it's become the one of the highest grossing R-rated movies, even not as good as Deadpool, Wolverine, and Oppenheimer came recently, but even not even close. But he also did a small niche films more after the British days, like the Luca Guadagnino's Biggest Splash and Suspiria, the Black Mass movie with Johnny Depp was pretty basically this is before the Amber Heard debacle like that. Into 2016, How to Be Single was a rom com film that's starring alongside Rebel Wilson before Cats happened. And then the both 50 Shades sequels was not as good as the Sexo, but even in the two movies were pretty much gone. The last one was pretty much I saw it in the Rita or Leah Payne's song was pretty become popular. Mostly people not as good as Love Me I You Do and the Weekend song, and also and of course the Baptized and the Aurora of course. But in 2019 we saw also continue on with making movies like. Mostly in indie movies like the Peter Bob Falcon, Our Friend, and in especially and and especially the non-indie film was probably produced by the same company who did 50 Shades of Grey, Focus Features, or Universal Pictures, with the high notes because um, I know this movie came supposedly came out in I think made this in 2020, but then came pandemic happened and the movies gone canceled, but eventually but it did release the movie in some select theaters and some dry room and in the VOD in a month between a month later, but eventually came on later that month was that May same year 2020 because they after like a Troll 2's success even pretty much released in theaters but eventually were POV market. Like I know I pretty much saw the movie in back in 2020 and I think this movie is, and I disagree that between Beer About a Falcon and this film, it probably came out in middle of pandemic. But I think that we see it like watching the movie, like this is make no sense, and it continue on with the movies, and it also started production copy what I would touch later, and it eventually appeared in the Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, The Lost Daughter, alongside Olivia Colman and Jesse Buckley and Paul Mercy and along and as well as the and of course the biggest of all the infamous Madame Web movie, but because between this and the movie is that literally killed Sony's Spider-Man universe immediately because Sony Pictures had no plans to continue the universe. The final extra film was a crowd of the Hunter, but yeah, I think this is mark the end of Sony U. But I think Johnson continue making movies, especially also um, it did a none, and eventually make it and came back to do acting, proper acting career with the materials was a A24 movie was started from director of Past Lives, which is starring alongside with Chris Evans and Hollywood's likable person that isn't Chris Pratt and Jack Black that is Petro Pascal. So I haven't seen it, but I missed the movie, but I gotta see, but I haven't got to receive decent well, but the rest. But especially he had to do an acting career for a long time. But this is going to be a difference. So, but leads us to this. This is going to be an industry topic that Dakota Johnson will haven't been for a long time. He been an acting career, but he also have expanded to become more sort of the entertainment producer. So Dakota Johnson starting with her partner, Ro Dudley, to launch TeaTime Pictures. Is I know the production company was pretty much the logo, if you're familiar with, was basically the mother version of the old United Artists logo. So yeah, I think Amazon and GM fed to sue that logo for trademarking. Anyway, um, Dakota Johnson has started, like I said, Dakota Johnson started the production company with Walt Darling. We have a few films where projects since 2022, including Cha Cha Real Smooth on Apple TV Plus. I Am Okay was a independent film, was produced from Warner Brothers Pictures, was distributed from HBO Max to streaming on HBO Max, was a Warner Brothers streaming service. And there's an indie film with starring alongside Sean Penn in Dado, that was got received mixed. And then of course this year, which came the same year as in Materials, was Splitsville from Neon, which got received well, and they premiered at Cannes Film Festival. And as well as the non films were pretty, including the documentary The Disappearance of Sherry Height, as well as Baby, which I make a the prop. This is not technically a profit, but it was a short film, directorial debut. So it received him mostly in a film releasing on some film festivals. But yeah, Tea Time was more like a independent film company that's pretty much in the time when female actress who ventured to become the production companies. The Margot Robbie had Lucky Chap, Jessica Chastain with Flickr Films, and Viola Davis had Juvie Productions. If you don't know, he had the only two best known films I'm familiar with, The Woman King, and of course the infamous film that released on Prime Video this year that isn't Waterworld's movie with Ice Cube is G20, starring alongside Anthony Starr. That's right, Homelander from the Boys series. But I haven't seen. It was a remake mediocre reviews. I think it got. I haven't seen it, but it's like they compared like it's like the female version of the White House Down or Has Fallen film series. But even though I haven't know this movie is about to say the female version of the Die Hard in at the White House, so I think this is not as good as I remember. But hey, it's not as, but I think probably got to receive well. I haven't seen this. I critical drinker made a video, but hey, and I haven't not as good, but not as good as in the Water Wars movie with Ice Cube, who came out a few months later at Prime Video. Thank you very much. Anyway, it because like I said, anyway, back to what I was saying. The female production companies is pretty much led by the female. The production companies is led by the female actress has pretty much appeared to kind of female-led audience that who wanted to be an new direction. He wanted to be an partners with the great producers and filmmakers and TV showrunners and all that jazz for bring on a new direction. Heck, even that TeaTime Pictures has signed a first look deal with Sony Pictures TV television. Since after the Madame Web debacle, I think that after he decided, you know what, let's just sign with deal already on the TV production project of that TV division. And as he had a first look deal, he had a bunch of projects, and I have a not sure about. He had to do a more focused kind of stuff. This is more like say I did with the documentaries and all that stuff. So we will see. But yeah, this directorial debut did T is Brewer might produce under Tea Time Productions. So pictures. So here's an article for RollReel.com. For months now, Dakota Johnson has been drawn for hints that she's ready to step behind the camera. Turns out she wasn't buffing. The actress is set to make it a directorial debut. Well, actually, featured directorial debut was actually the short film was first was a Loser Baby with A Tree Is Blue, a coming age drama that going to film in Los Angeles next month, according to the casting call. And Johnson assembled a cast that includes Charlie XCX, Jessica Alba, and Vanessa Burkhardt. And the producing it under the her Tea Time banner is written. The film was written by the Burkhardt, who's starring as Johnson's daughter in Cha Cha Real Smooth. And there she's again, Charlie XCX, a Grammy award-winning singer who has decided to shift her focus to acting, shooting in 70 films for the last 2 years, including The Moment, 100 Nights of Hero, Ipukia, Face of a Death, that movie, but because there's some little rebels to George Michael's song, Scarface, and the Engalidist. And none of these haven't been releasing in theaters yet. And there's only one movie I haven't know he had project. He actually on Prime Video is Overcome Related, which stars Benny Skinner. or something. The Benny, is on Instagram. It's a social media star returned making on the Charlie XCX making an appearance on the. It was on Prime Video. It was gone received well, and and I think the Charlie XCX was making acting to like the singers turn actor. Like say Madonna would make got an acting career, but that not as good as whenever. Yeah, same goes with the Desperately Seeking Susan was her only good film, or even like A League of Their Own was a film that's becoming sort of the cult classic, and they made it the Amazon's Prime Video. Unfortunately, it was canceled for only 2 seasons. Yikes. Anyway, but yeah, this is not as good. But Madonna's few terrible films like Dick Tracy or um, Broadway Haunted, and especially the recent Split Away movie with her husband at the time, Guy Ritchie, was sort of the remake of the Italian art house film. So I know why, because who cares? So yeah, he never been acting ever since him. But even in the acting career was gone mediocre. But if you want to see the Toddler Shadows um, about the filmography of Madonna's career, you should check out Cinema Madonna's series over Toddler Shadows. We gotta play this in the description. But yeah, I think, and also Charlie XCX has pretty much been a career, even success of the Brad album. But I would say this Brad album was more like and then Capitize was becoming the success last year. Like at the same time with Sabrina Carpenter's new album that came out. But this is more marked to what prefer the new female side of the artist. Like unlike Britney or like did with Madonna and Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and Tony Braxton, you name it. But this is more like a different kind of artist that we want to appear to. But even the 90s, because like Missy Elliott was pretty much been a singing and rapping career for between late 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, let's continue on. Johnson takes in the reins to tell the story of a young woman on the autism spectrum who breaks free so for her opioid protecting. And yeah, as an autism, I respect that. That's an artist. But loving mother in search of the freedom, friendship, and the little chaos in the summer after high school graduation. The project was described has been described by Johnson as very close to her heart. To her heart, yeah. I'm gonna mention that Dakota Johnson, sorry, I don't know that Dakota Johnson. He had a soft, calming voice, who's probably can see louder screaming, but yeah, he's like Al Pacino, but this more like a calm, soothing voice that we're familiar with. I trust anyone that he been for Mike. Yeah. Anyway, um, that's not anyway. Let's continue. That's not the just press release fluff. Johnson has outspoken lately about wanting to create a space for more authentic stories in Hollywood, particularly ones told with the people who experience as they're portraying. And yeah, I meant to say he was a production company, TeaTime Pictures, for no. Having Brokrat, who is artistic, penned the script synchro serious intention. I just was wondering if Johnson has the stuff to be a good filmmaker. We'll see. So yes, Dakota Johnson is a dead serious about to be an amateur, and it was, and she been one of us for the months. And yeah, I meant to say he had made a directorial debut with the short film Loser Baby, but and he's just and judging by how this project he's been fast tracking, she's made to make something that actually matters. In other words, not Metal Web. Oh, that's a bird. That's a road got busted. Sorry, I gotta say. Anyway, so what does it have to mean with Dakota Johnson's feature length directorial debut through the production company TeaTime Pictures? Well, first, like I said, the directorial debut with the short film "Luso Baby" was got a lot of attention, even as a film festival circuit, or especially on the release on YouTube or any. So anyway, but I think the Dakota Johnson would make a directorial debut better. Like I'm not even like I said in the last videos, like it's like many actors like that. Bradley Cooper would make a directorial debut with um the Star Wars Storm, and the remake of A Star Wars Born with Lady Gaga. Heck, even the and even there's probably one actress. Like, I think the direct, but I think there's an acting career. Like, if like Judy Foster will make a directorial debut because was a little mad tape because after Orion Pictures, that's the studio behind the Silence of the Lambs, impressed her so much that we're making an directorial debut because he wanted to do. Because since that long before, this is before the Orion Pictures filed the bankruptcy and it was been bought by NGM, now Amazon MGM. But yeah, that it did receive well, but especially the Dakota Jodie Foster's director effort. So I respect, but I hope Dakota Johnson did same with Jodie Foster. If this movie did well, I think this is not going to be a happening. But as for my production company TeaTime, I might be excited going to be producing. And let's be honest, after like there's really no TeaTime is had in producing films. Like he's I think the I might be like Johnson might be it could be excited to produce materials movie for TeaTime because they had a there's some more indie film studios that like one wanted to appear to, but and like he been able to casting like Chris Evans and or Petro Pascal. Oh heck, even Madame Web, it might be going to be except produced or under the TeaTime Pictures because they're more making out the blockbuster with Sony Pictures and Marvel, but even that didn't work. But even it's not as good as an executive producer. But hey, it still works. But still, but this one is more like, but and especially like the last movie, the Spiritsville, was probably produced from Neon because the same people who did Parasite and especially the recent Op Perkins horror films. But this is more, but I hope that the Tree is Blue is probably going to be signed with the independent film companies that want to appear to, like as like such as Neon, Movie, A24, as well as a more like an indie film companies are was a subsidiary of the major film companies like Sony Pictures Classics, Searchlight Pictures, and even Focus Features because he worked before between 50 Shades of Grey, but first one, and and the high note. So yeah, I hope and see what happens. But if the filmmakers want to appeal to kind of audience of like, well, if it focus the same way with Jodie Foster, so I hope to see what happens. Even Johnny XDX was kind of be acting, making way to acting debuts. What did with Madonna, but hope didn't suck. I swear to God. But so we will see what happens in coming months. But I'm not sure they begin filming next month, and I might get a bit caught by distribution. Like I said, Neon movie, A24, as well as Sony Pictures Classic, Focus Features, or maybe Searchlight Pictures, but or maybe they'll release in the streaming service like Netflix or Prime Video, or maybe well some others like say Topic streaming service. Was probably been a collab with Focus Features. So I mean Neon. Sorry, I meant to say Neon, but I digress. So we'll see what happens, but it turns out we're going to be beginning filming happening next month. I hope it's people are happening release in between 2025 and 2026. But I hope Dakota Johnson will be happening, making and then the feature length directorial debut with some well-known celebrities in US, including Chai DXCX was a singer, Jessica Alba was an actress who's familiar like the 2000s Fantastic Four movies and especially Spin City movies, and of course Vanessa Broadhart, who's also he was an artistic who's also worked in the few months ago, a few years ago in Cha Cha Will Smoke movie. Was a first was in fact was the first official project for the production company TeaTime Pictures with Roy Doherty. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be happening, but I hope it's gotten critical acclaim or gotten or maybe a movie to get have the award season. Who knows? So we will see, and I hope Dakota Johnson's be could be good to be acting career after the Madame Web disaster, but and even the materials did well. So in the box office, so we will see what happens. And Splitsville was begun ton attention, especially the Neon audience. That's a production company. So we'll see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I've been doing film and TV news coming your way on this on Monday, and to anyone, let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to like this video, share your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. And I'll see you guys in my next video. And remember, keep watching on What I Mean.